Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about a recent update from the Department of State regarding how embassies and consulates are prioritizing immigrant visa applications. The Department of State is working to reduce the backlogs of these applications caused by the travel restrictions and operational constraints caused by the global COVID-19 pandemic. Given that many embassies and consulates are offering only routine visa services, limited operations, they're operating under reduced capacity, the Department of State has developed this tier system for immigrant visa prioritization, and that'll determine when certain visa applicants can be scheduled for their interviews. In order to prioritize certain immigrant visa applications for processing at the embassy, the Department of State has developed this tiered approach with different tiers for different preference categories and classifications. So we're going to talk about exactly what their tiered approach is, so you'll understand who is given priority, who's going to be getting their immigrant visa sooner versus the other preference categories that are going to have to continue to wait. So according to the Department of State, the guiding principle for their immigrant visa prioritization method is family reunification is the priority of the U.S. government's immigration policy. In fact, Congress directed the Department of State to adopt a policy prioritizing immediate relative visa applications and K-1 fiancé visas, followed by family preference immigrant visa applications. As they resume and expand processing, U.S. embassies and consulates are using a tiered approach to triage immigrant visa applications based on the category of the immigrant visa. There are 4 tiers in total in which the embassies and the consulates are supposed to follow each month. Of course, the first tier is given the most priority, and then it kind of trickles down. When possible, consular sections are scheduling some appointments within all 4 tiers. However, the first tiers are given more priority. Let's talk about the order of these tiers and which categories fall in under each tier. Tier 1, immediate relative inter-country adoption visas, age-out cases, certain special immigrant visas for Afghan and Iraqi nationals working with the U.S. government, and emergency cases as determined on a case-by-case basis. So the categories that are given the most preference under Tier 1 are inter-country adoption visas, age-out cases. Age-out cases are ones in which the applicant, because of the backlog, because of the substantial delay, could potentially no longer qualify for their preference category. For example, if they're going to be turning 21. So pay attention to the Child Status Protection Act. I will make a video explaining the Child Status Protection Act very, very soon, so keep an eye out for that. Also, special immigrant visas. Now, there are a multitude of special immigrant visas, but the ones that are classified under Tier 1 are only those for Afghan and Iraqi nationals working with the U.S. government at this time. Also under Tier 1, emergency cases as determined on a case-by-case basis. Okay, Tier 2, immediate relative visas. Okay, immediate relatives are the spouse, children, parents of U.S. citizens. That's immediate relatives. Fiancé visas and returning resident visas. So that SB1 returning resident category, that goes under Tier 2. So for Tier 3, family preference immigrant visas, so those that did not fall under Tier 1 or Tier 2. So the married or unmarried son or daughter of a U.S. citizen, spouses or children of lawful permanent residents, that would fall under Tier 3. And special immigrant visas for certain employees of the U.S. government abroad, okay? And the rest of the special immigrant visas would not fall under this category. They would fall under Tier 4. So let's talk about Tier 4. All other immigrant visas, including employment preference and diversity visas. Okay, so what do we see here? Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 focus on family reunification, those in the family preference categories, those with the highest preference categories, highest priorities, and then the rest fall under Tier 4, including the diversity visas and employment-based visas. Now, as I mentioned previously, it is a triage approach. It is a tiered approach. The top tiers obviously get the most priority each month, but when possible, consulates and embassies are scheduling the other immigrant visa appointments for the lower tiers as well, or for all 4 tiers as well. The Department of State developed this tier approach to accommodate as many immediate relatives and fiancé cases as possible, with the additional goal of reducing the backlog in the other preference categories. It's not a complete stop of the other preference categories, whether it's employment, diversity visa, or the lower preference categories in the family-based petitions. They are trying to continue processing across all categories. However, they are focusing mostly on accommodating immediate relatives of U.S. citizens and fiancé visas. Once again, the consular posts and embassies are instructed to schedule at least some cases in the Tier 3 and Tier 4 levels. The Department of State also clarified their guidance on emergency cases, basically prioritizing healthcare professionals, whether they are under family-based preference categories or employment-based categories. If the applicant is proving that they are going to be working as a healthcare professional in a facility engaged in pandemic response, then they will be given the emergency visa appointment. So everything I just talked about was related to immigrant visa applications, so those that are obtaining permanent residency. Okay, that tiered approach did not apply to non-immigrant visas or temporary visas. As a reminder, every embassy, every consulate is essentially working under their own schedule based on the conditions of the country in which the consulate or the embassy is located, and you have to periodically check the website of that respective post in order to see if they are accepting any visa applications or which types of non-immigrant visas they are processing at this time. For example, the U.S. Embassy in London is only processing emergency cases. However, there are other U.S. embassies that are conducting limited routine visa services, but they might be prioritizing student visas, for example. Some might be prioritizing E2 visas. Definitely have to check the website of the respective embassy or post to figure out what the status is for non-immigrant visas. So the tiered approach that I mentioned was specific to immigrant visa applications and those cases for permanent residency, whereas there isn't a structured tiered approach regarding non-immigrant visas. Each embassy has their own approach with respect to non-immigrant visas. Also, I want to touch on the topic of interview waivers. There are no interview waivers for permanent residency or those immigrant visa applications. There are interview waivers possible for the non-immigrant visa categories, and specifically those that are obtaining the same visa classification, for example, a renewal. So if your previous visa in the exact same classification expired within the last 48 months, then you're eligible to get your visa renewed. This is for non-immigrant visa categories only, and that policy is in effect until December 31st, 2021, but there are no interview waivers available for immigrant visas or getting your visa for the purpose of permanent residency. Once again, definitely review the website for your nearest U.S. embassy or consulate to review their instructions on what visa services they have available, as well as instructions on obtaining your non-immigrant visa without an interview. So if you want to see more updates like this, make sure you are subscribed and turn on your post notifications to be notified each and every time I have an update for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.